How's it going, guys? Coffee here. Today I wanted to go over the leveling build I used for Carino Lethal Flash, aka Carino 2, for basically leveling up. Pretty much from what we're kind of seeing, Carino has two very good builds right now for endgame, and that is using Shadow Shot with Wilt and using Ice Lances. Shadow Shot basically takes advantage of the fact that you are going to reload every time you use a mobility skill, and then you are using this with activation medium burst here, or activation medium burst activation, which triggers as soon as you cap your spell burst, and it just basically goes on repeat. Specifically for the Ice Lances version, which is what we use to level up with, you are using Ice Lances Rebound here, which allows projectiles to jump off of the ground, and then they can jump towards enemies that they have hit before. And then you use this with Ice Lance's Bounce as well, which makes it to where bouncing off the ground doesn't consume one of the jumps that you have available, which basically just means all of your stuff is hitting one additional time on the boss. The way that this works is, again, the downside of Ice Lance's Rebound is the Ice Lance does have to hit the target in order for it to jump back towards the target, which is why we are doing this on Carino, because his built-in ability is that it gives all projectiles the shotgun effect. So what this means is that, you know, when you actually stand directly on top of the boss or on top of an enemy, you are hitting them with all of your projectiles, which means every single one of them will end up shotgunning and then bouncing off the ground. So you end up with an incredible number of projectiles on a target. I can kind of show you here, for example, kind of what you're seeing here. So very quickly here, you see just a ton of projectiles building up, and it just kind of like continues to ramp up to a certain point where we will end up basically finally hitting our cap of basically how many things we have up based off of how many jumps we have, things like that, right? So that's pretty much what we're looking at with it when it comes to the gear or whatever. Yeah, so we ended up leveling with Ice Lances purely because of the ability to reset your frigid transmission, or frigid, with Frostbitten here. The Shadow Shot build should be more damage, so we will be swapping to that at level 90. But a lot of the gear ends up being basically the same or very similar, right? You're still going to be using Surging Inspiration for your helmet. You're still going to be using Chaos Abyss gloves. And then you will end up swapping over your chest and some other things. So you will end up swapping over to Twilight Vestment early on. And then you will end up basically still using Valerie's Night Stroll and the Eternal Sea Fog Belt just for all that extra movement speed. And then the extra damage from Blur and Blur Effect. Early on for leveling, you can be using these Marksman's Bracers. And then the same Spring Resurrections that we were using on the Yuga as well. Same thing goes for Omniscient Prototype. Getting a Siren Face Guard with you can get one with a higher level of Biting Cold. Definitely does help early on. And then again, you end up swapping that off later on to basically once you take off the helmet, that's when you actually put a Biting Cold back on your bar. For the rest of the leveling gear, you want to put on a Lonesome Ring, of course, as usual, a Pentagram Astrolabe early on. You're not doing any of the spell bursting stuff early on, so what I ended up actually doing for leveling was I actually just leveled with a Wind Rhythm instead. If you don't have the money for this stuff, like it's fine. Carino himself is a very expensive character. It basically requires activation medium burst activation, which is already 1400 FE by itself. And then the helmet is about 700 FE. So just the baseline to even get started on the character, you're kind of looking at like 2500 FE. So he's not the cheapest character, but he is something you can definitely roll into. And then again, if you've played any of the builds that we were playing prior to this, so the gear from the Selena or from the Gemma 3 or from the Yuga 1 that I've played before this all kind of funnels into this character to save us quite a bit. For the actual supports here, we're just using the same Mana Boil, Ice Bond, and Biting Cold that we were using on the Yuga. For the supports, right now I just have Swiftness, Elemental Amp, Thunder Spirit, and Ice Imbue. This Swiftness can be changed to something else. it might be better, honestly, to just have it as a basically another support, whether it be just like corrosion imbue or something like that. We can probably still get it on here and fit it in. We'll just have to add an extra support on it because we are using the extra support to basically just make it use less sealed mana, depending on how many supports we have on there. So if you do this, oh, I guess we actually don't have enough to do it. I lied. Sorry. We oh, I think I have dirty tricks on right now. So yeah. So if we actually swap this off the beaten track, we would be able to fit in the extra aura. I don't really, it doesn't really matter right now. The leveling damage you'll see here is basically completely enough, or it's doing plenty of damage right now. So for your candles, if you are going to buy any for this, you are going to want jump candles for now. I probably wouldn't do that yet, though. I'm suggesting you basically just hold off for now, just because, again, when we get to level 90 or the update I do for tomorrow, we'll be transitioning this into Shadow Shot. I basically just wanted to cover, again, the build to use this to push this to level 90 quickly. And then from there, basically, we're going to transition into Shadow Shot. But these are the things that you are using here. You are using Dart Shot, and then you are just using Lethal Interval, and then you get pick up Malice Charge here, so you get the reload on your ammo whenever you use a mobility skill. And then we are just using the same, basically the same memories that we were using from Yuga with the cast speed and int. So that's fine. Eventually, you'll maybe want to transition these into something else, but for now, just use these. You can't go wrong with that just because the cast speed is turning into spell burst speed. So let's go ahead and showcase a map, kind of what this looks like. That is the main reason why I am doing this still on the Carino, or still on, this is the reason why I'm still doing this on Ice Lances rather. It's because the mapping speed itself is basically unmatched for pretty much anything. So you can see here, it's basically as fast as I can click forward. Everything is basically dying along the way. Yeah, so you're basically mapping as fast as you possibly can, faster than the boss can even spawn. You loot and you move on, right? This is just a few seconds, and you know the damage is flowing. This is with, oh, I guess that was with DPS pets. It's not supposed to be, but with the EXP pets, you're still pretty much getting the same thing. Nothing really changes on T7 yet, but I think this is still completely fine to just basically push to level 90, at which point we'll swap the build to Shadow Shot, and then we will move over to our gear for Shadow Shot, and then we'll basically be able to bump right into T8 with that gear, and then we'll kind of push it from there, and we'll transition it. But I will cover that in tomorrow's video. This is just going to be for now. Get people started for those that did want to move to this build and have some information, and then you have somewhere where you know to take it. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, or pop onto stream. I will be streaming after this as usual. So pop onto stream if you have any questions, and other than that, see you in the next one.